So yes, finally we have tons of brand new details about Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. This is the brand new open world Avatar game coming from Ubisoft Massive, the same team that brought us The Division. And man, we have a info blowout for you today because we got new dev interviews and a brand new dev video, which we're going to go over. We have new details about new NPC technology, advanced weather system, how being next gen only improves exploring the map, the first person perspective, and the actual gameplay itself. And yes, we have another really interesting article that talks about how this game right here, Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, is influencing their open world Star Wars game. Yes, if you didn't hear, Ubisoft Massive is making an open world Star Wars game. I cannot wait for that one, but let's dive into this right now. Hey everyone, what's happening? Open world games here, hope you're doing good, and yes, we are talking about Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. Let's dive into these recent interviews, shall we? So these are all interviews with Ubisoft Massive and the dev team. We're going to start with talking about the next-gen technology and more specifically the world tech powering the new NPCs in this game. So it goes on to say this right here: the different activities that NPCs can perform in the world and the different animations they have can make the world feel really alive. So for Avatar's Frontiers of Pandora, we wanted to take this one step further and create a system where our NPCs understand the state of the world. For example, weather, player progression, or time of day. So it sounds like the animal life in this game, as well as NPCs, the Na'vi, are going to have a deep understanding of their surroundings, and that's going to actually influence what they do in the world. I really hope this all works as advertised, but what really helps with this game is the fact that it's going to be running on next-gen tech only. That is, it's going to be PS5, it's going to be Xbox Series XS, and then of course PC only. No PS4, no Xbox One. Now it goes on to say this: while the video doesn't make totally clear how that system works in a practical sense, technical director of programming Nikolai Stefanov gave us an example in a separate interview with IGN. For the big creatures, he explains, whenever they are calm, they would obviously walk around trees and things like that. But when they are fleeing or attacking you or whatever, they will just go straight through the bamboo and other vegetation and just completely destroy it. This sounds a lot like Horizon Zero Dawn, by the way, which is really cool. It says, I think it's really cool to be able to see all of these effects that the NPCs have on the environment, as well as you having an effect on that environment too. So it sounds like destruction is also going to be a part of the Snowdrop engine this time, as they have also stated in this video, the engine has been upgraded significantly, of course, since The Division and even The Division 2, so that's really cool. Now, the article goes on to say the following: it's seemingly not just Na'vi, humans, and Pandoran fauna that will react to the world around them either. Even plant life can react to your presence. Senior technical artist Kunal Luthra explains elsewhere in the video. The advantage of Snowdrop is that it can handle quite complex shaders. To add life to the vegetation of Pandora, we've created many interactive shaders that can be affected by the player, from real-time wind simulations and interactions to intelligent plants reacting to your presence as well. We saw a glimpse of this, by the way, in the trailer as well, but we're going to dive into another article right here. I think this is by far some of the most fascinating stuff we're going to be discovering about Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. It's in this article. It says why Avatar Frontiers of Pandora had to be a next-gen only game. So let's see what they explain right here. It goes on to say this: it begs the question then, what makes Ubisoft Massive's Avatar game so much more demanding that it could only run on next-gen hardware, beyond the obvious answer of it looks nicer? I spoke to the game's creative director, Magnus Jensen, and the technical director of programming, Nikolai Stefanov, to find out. So again, this comes from IGN as they interview the Ubisoft Massive team. But let's dive into the tech behind a lot of this stuff going on. So we're going to first of all talk about flying. So as much of the Frontiers of Pandora's reveal trailer takes place with Na'vi heroes riding their Banshee companions, as it turns out this just isn't for show. The game will let you take to the skies and travel across them at high speed, and only new hardware allowed the team to couple that mechanic with the detailed world it wanted to present. Furthermore, it says this: new consoles allowed us to have much better object detail up close to you, explains Stefanov, but also when you're flying high up in the air, to have a lovely vista and far distance rendering, where we can even use the ray tracing to do shadows super far away, 3 or 4 kilometers away from you. Wow, that is impressive. Ray tracing is still, to this age, pretty difficult to pull off. There's some games that still struggle with it. So to hear this is super impressive. Now, they go on to say in the article here, it's not just that the world needs to look good as you lazily soar over it, it's just that it needs to stay looking good while you travel very, very quickly, as Jensen explains. You're flying at enormous high speeds on a Banshee over this very, very detailed landscape. It doesn't matter how much we can render unless we can stream it as fast as we're moving very fast from one place to another. So just this shift to these newer hard drives, it can't be underestimated and it really has a lot of implications. So it's allowing them to stream a more detailed world a lot faster as you travel through it without losing that detail. Now they go on to talk about the map design as well. They say this, one of the less visible benefits of new hardware is in changing not just how the open world looks, but how it's pieced together. Because of more limited tech, older open world games need to be balanced detail with density, which can lead to large areas of relative nothingness between major points of interest. I'm looking at you, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Shots fired. Now it says it seems that new gen tech will allow Frontiers of Pandora to be built a little more organically. They go on to say this about this subject. It's not just the old, I'm taking this slow walk as I enter this place because we have to stream everything in, explains Jensen in the benefits to his maps. It's little subtle things that people don't think about, which is how close together are all the places in the world. If you look at with the old hard drives, they had to be spaced out very far apart because you had to stream out the old and stream in the new. So it just created a formalic world. So there's a ton of stuff like that. So yeah, this time they will be able to have a more condensed detailed open world, again without worrying about these tech limitations. Now they did also speak about enemy and creature AI as well in this article. They go on to say this, it's not just graphical power helping massive designers, processing power will help them try new things too, particularly when it comes to NPCs. It says technology is everything, says Jensen. It's what allows us to realize our dreams as designers. It's what allows us to tell our stories and to create the immersion and the escapism that we want. It's not just about escapism, it's about danger as well, because Pandora is a beautiful place, but it's also a dangerous place. So the wildlife, the AI, the way that they track you, the way that they attack you, and the advances in technology and the way that we are taking advantage of the power with our in-house Snowdrop engine is allowing us to do amazing things that would not be possible otherwise. I cannot wait to see this AI. They're bragging a lot about the AI, so I really hope that it does live up to expectations. But furthermore, they say this, Stefanov steps in to show us exactly what that can mean. Interesting. He says, I can give you a specific example of something that you see in the trailer that has to do with the AI systems. For the big creatures, whenever they are calm, they would obviously walk around trees and things like that. But when they are fleeing or attacking you or whatever, they will just go straight through the bamboo and other vegetation and just completely destroy it. I think it's really cool to be able to see all these effects that the NPCs have on their environment, as well as you having an effect on the environment too. Yeah, that's also been something that Guerrilla Games once again is really good at, because I remember in Horizon Zero Dawn, they have been experts at that as well. So it's cool to see that this game is tapping into that too. Now it says Immersion. While this does fall somewhat under the it looks nice bracket of technical improvements, Massive is adamant that improving some of the more complex visuals will help players get into the idea that they're on the Pandora of James Cameron's original movie, not just another game world. So remember, guys, it's a first-person game. Remember, sound off. Let me know what you think of that one. It says, it's to me the most immersive way of playing. So we're really going all in on that vision of remember the movie, remember you wanted to go to Pandora. Now you can go to Pandora. And to do that, we need to have the best simulation of weather, rain, animals, and the best rendering, because the more technically excellent it is, the more capable it is of taking you from where you are and into the world of Pandora. Obviously, we see the visuals from the trailer. They're saying this is in-game assets, and the first-person perspective also allows us to have immersion when interacting with the actual NPCs. the creatures of the world. And I'm so curious to see what this first-person perspective looks like, though, when we ride the Banshee and flying around. Will we be able to switch to third person in that perspective? So yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to discover as this game slowly reveals itself to us. Now, they say that Stefanoff gives some examples of what that can mean to the game in terms of a new generation of consoles. The improved hardware just gives us so much opportunity to make sure that the game's as immersive as possible. So a couple of examples: we have a completely new lighting system that is based on ray tracing, and I think it is a dramatic step up in quality that makes you feel like it's a real place. Ray tracing, guys, let me tell you what. It's one of my favorite technologies. Now, as you say this, one tiny example is that it can actually handle the translucency of the leaves so that it can figure out how much of the light is reflected through the leaves, how tinted it is with the colors and everything else. You get lovely reflections in sight for the water, even down to the volumetric clouds in the sky. They actually receive the correct lighting as well. And that's going to be important considering there's going to be so much flying traversal in this game. It's going to be one of the biggest ways to get around in this game, of course. So that is really important that they have a really good looking volumetric clouds up there as well. Now, of course, Ubisoft is working on another little game called, a Star Wars game right here. It says Ubisoft Star Wars game wouldn't exist without Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. It says Ubisoft open world Star Wars game still far over the horizon, wouldn't be happening if it weren't for wheelings and dealings with Disney. So of course you got to remember that Disney, they pretty much own everything. But they also own Avatar, and it's really interesting. They own Star Wars, they own Avatar, but once they actually saw what, of course, Ubisoft Massive was working on with this Avatar game, once they took ownership over everything related to Avatar, they were like, wow, this is so impressive. We want you to work on our open world Star Wars game. There were other publishers and developers that they were considering for this, but after seeing what the Snowdrop engine can do with the Avatar world, they wanted to also know what it could do with Star Wars. So that's a really cool story, and it seems like they really presented a good case to Disney in some sort of presentation that they had, a private presentation before, of course, revealing all of this. But yeah, I can't wait for the brand new open world Star Wars game. Of course, you're looking at Star Wars 1313 right now. Some of you may remember this one. I don't even want to talk about it. Yeah, this one was completely canceled, and it's a shame that happened. But knowing that Ubisoft Massive is working on the open world Star Wars game, I have a lot of hope. And honestly, I really hope that they take their time with the open world Star Wars game. As long as they need a couple years, whatever. I don't even care if it releases in 2025. I just want it to be like the best open world Star Wars game experience, because where's the open world Star Wars games? They're completely lacking. It is shocking to me how EA dropped the ball with the Star Wars license. They did not even pursue an open world Star Wars game whatsoever. So hopefully Ubisoft can really nail this down in the future. But yes, stay tuned for more news about Avatar, of course. And yeah, I'm going to be covering the open world Star Wars game by Ubisoft as well. But yeah, I've got my eyes on Avatar right now currently. But stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time. Take care.